Hey, I'm Tyler from Easy 4x4. Today we'll be assembling the JKU Extreme Folding Trunk. You'll find that it comes in two separate boxes. In your first box, it's just gonna be the middle folding section, and in the second box, quite literally everything else. We're gonna get everything laid out here to give you an overview of all the parts and pieces. So here we have everything laid out. In box 1, you'll find your middle folding section, and box 2 will have everything else, including your side panels, bottom plates, top panels, as well as all of the hardware that we like to separate by size and type. So you'll find that some of the bolts are pretty similar in size, so it helps to take that extra time just to make sure everything's laid out accordingly. For our passenger side panel here, this version works with both the speaker and non-speaker version. If you ordered a non-speaker version, your passenger side plate may come like this. So the first step in assembly is attaching our bottom plates to our side panels. Easy ways to identify our side panels. Towards the front of our Jeep is going to be these curved sections, and then towards the rear, obviously the opposite. And we're going to be attaching these bottom plates, which are nicely etched. This one says PR, which refers to passenger rear. We have PF, passenger front, and then the respective labelings on the driver's side as well. First thing we'll need to do is gather our hardware. So I like to separate everything out as we go. We'll need to grab 8 of our number 19 bolts here. There's 8 total, so those are easy to identify. We need to grab 10 of our number 23 washers here. They're our large washers. We'll need 2, part number 32. They're cylinder bolts, 2 of these. And then 10, part number 29, are large nuts, 10 of these. With our hardware separated, we're ready to attach our bottom plates to our side panel. Our panels are going to attach from the outside, just like this, with bolts going from outside in. Each side of this bolt gets a washer. On these washers, there's a smooth side and a sharper side. You always want the smooth side facing in towards your powder coat. Fold up with a nut. Everything just hand tightened for now. I'm going to repeat that process for all 4 bottom plates, going all the way around. So now that our passenger rear and passenger front bottom plate are attached to our side panel, we can go ahead with our cylinder bolts and get that in its respective hole. So once again, each side of this cylinder bolt is going to get a washer, and these cylinder bolts are going to go from inside out, opposite the direction of our existing bolts. And same thing as our bolts here, it's going to get a washer on both sides. This one finds its way just next to the passenger rear panel. And followed up with a washer and a nut on the back side. Perfect. Now that everything's hand tight, we're going to repeat that same process on our driver's side. Moving on to the bottom plates on our driver's side panel. Just a reminder that they all are etched with their correct positioning. This one, DR, referencing to driver rear, which are our 2 holes right here. Same thing as the other side. Bolts go from inside out with a washer on each side, followed by a nut. With both of our bottom plates on our side panel, we're now ready to install our cylinder bolt in the last hole along the bottom side here. Give it a washer on each side and a nut. Alrighty, with everything hand tightened now, we can grab our tools and tighten everything up for good. We provide all the tools you need for assembly, but you may find it easier to use your own tools. Now that we've attached our 5 screws to each side panel, we're ready to attach our top panels to the side panel. To do that, we'll need these short screws, and they attach with these small washers as well. You'll also need a Phillips screwdriver for this portion. I like to get 2 screw and washer setups before I hold my top panel in place, makes it easier for me. We want our rubber edge facing down, and our outside holes will line up with each other, just as you can see. So with one hand I hold down, and I can just thread one end with my hand, and do the same thing on the opposite end. This is just gonna help me hold the plate on while I get the rest of the screws in place. So once those 2 outside screws are in place, I like to just set it on its side, and I can let go of it and just do the rest by hand here. And we'll do all these screws just hand tight for now. We'll tighten them up once we're outside with these panels at the Jeep. All right, with all of these hand tight on this side, I'm gonna repeat the same process on our driver's side. You'll notice on the driver's side, we have the cutout for the electric on the hard top. If you have the soft top, this will get filled in with a plate. Okay, with our top panels attached to our side panels, we're ready to head outside and start working on the Jeep. Okay, now that we're at our trunk, we're ready to remove the 4 bolts to begin installation. Those 4 bolts are here, 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 and here. Once those 4 bolts are removed, we're ready to install our extreme trunk. The next thing we're gonna do is remove all the bolts and fasteners from our hardtop from the Jeep. And when removing the bolts of your hardtop, be sure to remove the bolts that are also in the front section Freedom top as well. Once we do that, we're ready to prop the rear end of our hardtop upwards. This part can get a little challenging. You might want to grab someone to help. So I like to have my support sat just behind this nipple here. So I'll lift it up, slide it back. That looks good to go. No part of this install requires your fingers to go between the hardtop and the Jeep, so just watch them as you're doing this installation. So now that our support is in place beneath the hardtop, we're ready to take our panel here. This opening is gonna fit just around our roll bar, and our holes here are gonna line up between the Jeep and the hardtop itself.
Tell them that you're being careful not to push your support out.
Yep. As I'm doing this, I'm being careful not to push my wooden support out. And just like that, we have all our holes lined up. If you do use a hardtop, we provide this hole to pull your electronic cable through. Now we can install our wire cover plate. So for our soft top users, you can go ahead and cover up this hole here. You won't have an electrical wire. For our hardtop users, you're gonna flip it right over, line it with the holes here, and then your thumb turn bolts follow through these holes right here. With our cover plate for our top plate now installed on our driver's side, we can repeat this whole process on the passenger side. If you don't have a speaker, your install is going to be a little bit simpler. Since we do have a speaker in this Jeep, I'm going to show you what we have to do to get this fit nice and snug beneath the speaker itself. So the first step in this process is to flip up our cargo tray here. Once our cargo tray is flipped up, let's ensure that our support holding up our hardtop is located just behind our roll bar. Once that's all into place, our first order of business, we want to get this passenger rear plate tucked beneath our speaker here, and we're going to line up the whole of the speaker, our passenger rear plate, and the Jeep itself. So simultaneously, as I slide this plate beneath the speaker, I'm also lining up this opening around my roll bar. And getting that pressed into position just like that. So I want to ensure alignment of the speaker, our plate, and the Jeep pole itself. And it looks like we're pretty good right there. Now that our side plate and top plate are in position here on the passenger side, we're ready to put that cover plate in once again. So we'll need to slide this support back first thing. So I'll lift, get this moved back here, nice and out of the way. As you can see, our cover plates look similar, but they are two different pieces. So our wider ends of our cover plates are always gonna face towards the front of our Jeep, and our rubber is always gonna face down. So this side is our driver's side, and this side is our passenger side. It's important to make sure that these are gonna go in their correct orientation. So here for the driver's side, you can see that this top end is longer than this bottom end. So now that our side and top plate is in place, we can take our cover plate, and that's gonna slip in right where our support sits right now. So what we need to do is slide that out of the way. On the driver's side, it'll slide in and under our existing top plate. Get all 4 holes aligned here. Once these 4 holes are aligned, we can follow these up with our short screws and washers. Once these 4 are in, we can tighten these up with a Phillips screwdriver. We've got our top plate tightened up on this side. We've got our cargo tray flipped down. Now we're ready to slide in our middle folding section of the trunk. Just to reassure you, we do still want all these screws along the top edges loose for adjustments once our trunk is sitting here inside. Now we're ready to set our folded middle section into its resting place here in the rear with our hinge piece facing down. These 2 holes are going to line up with our 2 holes in the rear. With our middle folding section seated here in the rear, we can now insert our 2 front torque screws into their respective positions. So we're going to grab our OEM D-rings, plastic rings, and our Torx tool here. We're gonna lift up our cargo tray and slip in this plastic ring beneath our plate here. Our D-ring will follow, followed by one of our Torx screws. Perfect. Once that side's tightened up by tool, we can repeat this process on the other side. If you have a speaker, you won't need that plastic ring beneath here. If you don't have a speaker, you'll just put that plastic ring just like we did the driver's side.
Lovely.
Now that our two front screws are in place, we're ready to unfold our middle folding section, get it placed up top on these rails here, and then install the rear two torque screws like we did in the front. So I like to grab the rear section of the trunk, lift up from there. Once I'm in this position, I'll push up on this lower position till we're sat up here. Now I can unfold the front. Now up here, we have two slots that will push back until our pins fall into place in the holes. With our trunk unfolded in this position, we want to snug up both sides of our trunk to our top plate. So we can do that by manipulating our top plates till they're nice and snug. Now we're snugged up top. Our next order of business is to get the two rear screws installed on our trunk. So we're going in. So we've got our hinge plate now screwed through our bottom plate and into the Jeep. I'm gonna snug this up by hand and do the same thing on the other side before I tighten it up with tools. Now that these are both tightened by hand, I'm gonna come back with my tool and get them snugged up. So we've tightened both bolts and they're both seated all the way down to the hinge plate. So now that our trunk's in place, we can install the last cylinder bolt for our hydraulics here. So we'll get two washers for each cylinder bolt and a nut as well. These are gonna insert from the outside in. And then we just follow up this side with a washer and nut. So just ensure this ball end of the cylinder bolt is facing towards the outside. Now I'm gonna get this tightened up with my tools and then repeat the process on the other side. Now that they're both tightened up by tool, we can go ahead and grab our hydraulics. So the shaft of our hydraulic will be faced towards the rear here. We slide it in just behind our ball, and we actually use the outside of the trunk to help us pop that into place. Once that one's good, we can move on down to the lower section here. You'll have to depress slightly. And same thing, just pop into place. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. If for any reason you need to remove your hydraulics, there's a small clip on the back side of each end. These just need to be popped off with a flathead screwdriver or plier, and the hydraulic will come right off. With our hydraulics in place, we can now test the functionality of our folding section. So with one hand, I'll grab the middle section here. I'll grab the handle with my other. I'm gonna pull and push simultaneously. And the process to unfold is the same, just in reverse. At this stage, we're ready to tighten the screws in our top plate that attach to our side plate here along the top. Ensure proper alignment with the trunk and the top plate before you tighten all of these up. Now we're ready to install our side plates. You'll notice they look very similar. They each have a rubber backing. So one side's for your driver's side, one side's for your passenger. The thinner side of the side plate will face in towards the center of the Jeep, and they fit in these puzzle piece slots like so. And now we'll do the same thing on the other side. If you do have a soft top, then you can take your webbing bracket and your soft nylon strap. That'll go through the end of the nylon strap like this. It'll attach to these two holes on the back of the trunk here. And with this strap, you can use it to hold down your soft top when you got it in a folded down position. And that webbing bracket gets held down with 2 small screws and 2 small washers. Now we can test the functionality of our locks. So our locks are unlocked by pulling these small strings and then rotating these inwards from their lock position. We'll show you that now. So first we need to make sure that our trunk is in correct position with all pins popping through. To lock your trunk, just press it inwards. To unlock, you'll pull the string and rotate outwards. Now that we've tightened everything up on our trunk and tested its functionality, we can drop our hard top back onto the Jeep and tighten down its bolts. With our hard top back into place on our Jeep and everything aligned from the hard top through the trunk to the Jeep, we can now replace all of our hard top bolts. Okay, and with that, the installation of our trunk is complete. I'm Tyler from Easy 4x4. Thanks for watching.